Hello, first grade, is Miss Keeley back again. This week we are jumping into a new topic all about movement in art. So if you look at the screen right here, you can see um, kind of these different things. If I were to press play, I don't think I can have my PowerPoint actually play on my screen, but all these little things would be moving. But anyway, so a lot of times when you think about artwork, you think it's just a picture, and if we can think about pictures, pictures don't really move. Movies, TV shows, animations, videos, those move, okay? Um, but so a lot of times artists try and create movement within their artwork. So if we take a look at this page right here, the way that artists are able to show movement is by creating a pattern or repetition of things. So if you look down here, you can see these little birds flying and these little cow heads. Because the artist um, created them again and again and again, it's showing this repetition, and it gives the illusion of movement, okay? So up here it says, movement and rhythm in art is when a work of art gives the illusion that it is moving. It has a direction to it and a sense of repetition, okay? And I know that those are kind of a lot of big words. If you take a look at these trees over here, they're all kind of going in this same direction off to the side, and it gives the illusion that maybe it's really windy out, because when we think about, like, if we're outside and it's really windy, the grass, the trees, they kind of get all pushed in one direction. So it shows this illusion of movement, okay? And then that word repetition, if you think when we did pattern, it's something that happens again and again and again, okay? And that word repetition kind of goes hand in hand with rhythm. Think in music, you've probably heard the word rhythm in music. Trying to keep the rhythm of something is to keep the repetition of something again and again and again, okay? Um, Here, I'm just going to show you a couple different examples of artwork that shows movement and artwork that does not show movement. So here's two very similar um, focuses for the artwork. It's both a golden retriever dog, kind of a bluish background on both. One of them looks like it's showing movement and one of them does not, okay? Um, I'm not going to tell you the answer. Maybe you can discuss it with a family member, or maybe you can just tell by looking what one looks like it's moving and which one looks like it's not, okay? Same thing here, two ballerinas. One of them looks like they are showing movement and one of them looks like they are not showing movement, okay? And then the last one is two horses. One of them looks like it's showing movement and one of them does not. You can be the judge. And then here are two famous art examples that both show movement. So we have the first one, which is The Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh. I'm sure you guys have seen this. I've definitely showed it to you before in class. The artist shows movement in the sky. He was able to create kind of this curl and swirling movement across the sky, and it looks like maybe it's really windy out that night. He uses a lot of dashed lines kind of moving in the same direction to show his movement. And then we have this painting by Hokusai, The Wave. And if you think about water, you can tell that when water is actually moving. If you're in the ocean and you saw a big wave coming at you like this, you would know that the water is moving, it's about to come crashing down. Or if you were in a pool and there isn't really as many waves and the water's just kind of flat, then that wouldn't really be showing movement, okay? So we're going to focus on this project about showing movement within our artwork, okay? So what we're going to do this week is you are going to start with a blank piece of paper, some sort of little scrap paper. So I just took a little piece of construction paper. You want something kind of like on the thicker side because we're going to be tracing it. So it could just be a normal piece of paper, but something a little bit heavier would work a little bit better. Okay, so and then you'll need a pencil and some scissors for the first couple steps. All right. So what we're going to do is you are going to take your pencil and this little scrap paper, and you are going to create one balloon, okay? And you want it to be a pretty good size. You don't want it too small or else it's going to be a little bit too tricky to use, and it kind of looks like an upside down teardrop, okay? And then you are going to take your scissors and you are going to cut it out. And this is going to be almost like a stencil for us. We've used a lot of stencils in class before where you trace the same thing over and over. Okay, so I have my balloon now cut out, and we want to make the illusion that our balloons are being kind of pulled in the sky by some wind. So I'm going to first place my balloon kind of in an angle, as if it was being blown by the wind kind of coming across our paper this way. So I kind of put it at an angle up top, and I am going to trace around it. I'm holding my paper vertical up and down. You guys can have the choice if you want it to be horizontal side to side. I just think that it is better to have it vertical because we want to have the whole sky up here and room for our balloons. And then you can see I'm taking my stencil again. I drew my first balloon. I added a little triangle for the little tie on the balloon. And then I want to draw like a cluster of balloons, like as if somebody had all these balloons kind of tied together. So we want to draw a bunch more balloons kind of on top of each other overlapping. So I'm going to take my stencil again and I am going to trace around it. You could trace the whole thing, but you would need to maybe go back and erase what was overlapped. And you'll see in my video some areas I will go back and erase, but you're trying to create balloons kind of on top of each other and behind each other to show space. So I was kind of drawing from one edge down and not really overlapping my actual pencil marks, but it's okay if you do. You just have to go back and erase them, and I'll show you what I mean when I actually do one on my paper. But so I'm just kind of drawing my balloons again and again. I'm going to kind of fast forward a little bit. So you can see here, I'm drawing it over everything. And you can see I have all these lines showing, but I don't really want it to look like my balloon is see-through. I want this to look like this balloon is in front of all these other balloons. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to erase those lines that are inside. So you might have to go back depending on how you draw your balloons, and you might need to erase certain lines to look like it's behind or in front of your other balloons. And I'm going to give you guys the choice on how many you want to add into your little clusters of balloons. I think I'm going to kind of fast forward mine so you can see how many I do. I think that's it. So I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 balloons. Okay. So you can decide how many you want. I would say probably do 5 or more, no less than 5. Okay. And so next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to draw a little point somewhere on my paper. And that's going to be kind of like the point where all my balloon strings are going to connect to. And you can, when you draw your balloons, it's going to go from the little triangle down to this point. And you can have the string kind of be as curvy and as wiggly as you want. If you think about if it would be blowing in the wind, it would probably be kind of getting blown around a little bit. So you can kind of give it that little artistic twist. And so I just had them all come to this point, and that's because eventually we're going to have something kind of holding this balloon here, but we're not going to really work on that today. So the next thing that you're going to do is take some sort of black either marker, crayon, color pencil, and we've done this in a lot of projects in the past. We just are outlining everything. So take your time, make sure you know what part needs to be outlined and what part will not be drawn over, and you're just tracing over everything. All the little triangles, balloon strings. And then the next part, we're going to take a white crayon and we are going to add a highlight on each balloon. So you can see here I have a little kind of curved highlight that I'm adding on each balloon. If you think back to when we did our ice cream projects, we took a white oil pastel and we drew on our ice cream cups to make it look shiny. We're trying to make our balloons look kind of shiny and round, so we're adding these little highlights. It's just a little white mark that we're going to add in all of them. You can kind of add them to the sides wherever you want. I added 2 on this side. And the reason why I did it on this red cutout paper is to show you what it will look like, because you're not going to be able to see it once I draw it on mine. So I am going to kind of fast forward, and you can see I'm starting to add just little white marks on each side of the balloon. I'm just going to fast forward this because you guys can't really see, but over here, remember, is our example of what we're trying to add. Okay. And then, let's see. That I think is going to be it for this week. I don't want to give you guys too much. Next week I'm going to talk to you guys about painting with a cool new technique, but I don't want to give you guys too much this first week. So, my video is already at 10 minutes, so I think that that's a lot for you guys to be like listening to and then having to go create on your own. So I'm going to leave it at this. Because this is just our first step of the project, you do not need to send me a picture. Of course, I keep saying I do love to see them, so if you do want to send me one, feel free. But yeah, so good luck. I'm excited to see how they come out, and I will chat with you guys next week. All right, bye.